What's up? What's up? I'm gonna take a little break ski and then we'll get up in it. Just trying to set things up. I'll take a little leak ski. And I'm going right back in it. I streamed before, I'm streaming after. I'm on it tonight. Alright, let's see what we got here. I got my dictionary. Set this shit up. Let's see what we got here. That was the best stream yet. I don't know about you guys, but I thought that was the best HT stream yet. Shit was good. Nice. I want 666. Then nobody sub from then on. Keeping it 666. What a difficult name. It's just 2 eel Shmeal. Funny part is a Shmeal in Yiddish is it means an idiot. Watch this. Shmeal. What is a Shmeal? It says. What is a Shmeal? Let's see. That meant a Shmeal. You know, I think somebody put that in just for me. Urban Dictionary, Shmeal. A Shmeal in Yiddish is a fucking idiot. I mean, sometimes it's accurate. Normally used to describe a person who's stupid. Alright, yeah, well, that could be me sometimes, sure. Guys, I'm going to give it a break. 5 minutes or so. I'll be back, alright? Hang out. So, you like my Straight Outta Compton shirt? Straight white male. Straight out of Atlantic City. How's the sound now? You guys good? I'm assuming my sound is good. Okay. Pretty music. Oh, from earlier? Excuse me. Let me hear something. Oh, from earlier? Okay. What's up with my stream? Is my stream a little buggy? I think I got too much shit open. Let me close some shit down. Give me a second, guys. Guys and guys. I don't know if I'm going to read another chapter. I'm just going to go over some things we were talking about on the stream, I think. Hey, how's the, is the stream shaky? Is it in and out? What's going on? Let's do this. Let's close this down. Let's close that. Give me a second. What's up with my stream health? Am I good? All good? Alright. It says, okay, viewers might be expecting some minor difficulties, but they'll be with the, with me and not the fucking stream. Alright, so, wow, what a fucking stream, huh? That was some good shit. It's just, there's so much in that stream that could be talked about in great detail for hours. I think I'm going to start real quick on some logical fallacies. I'll read tomorrow or the next day, you know? Let's, while all this stuff is fresh in your mind, let's go over some logical fallacies real quick. Alright. An ad hominem. Handsome Truth covered that perfectly. An ad hominem means literally against the man. See up here? Ad hominem. Alright, so what is it really? Alright, I don't need to read this. I know what it is. But basically, it's when you come up with something, you're like, well, you know, what about the USS Liberty? What do you have to say about that? And they go, get the fuck out of here, conspiracy theorist, tinfoil hat. They're attacking the person and not addressing the foundation of your argument. Not attacking the argument. They're going after the guy. These are easy to spot. It's probably the easiest logical fallacy to spot. So when you're arguing with people, well, I wouldn't encourage you argue in the not common sense, as in a heated exchange. But when I say argue, I mean putting forth an opinion or some facts. That's an argument. You make an argument. It's kind of like in court. When you hear a guy not addressing the argument, and he goes right for the guy and says, well, how the fuck are you going to listen to this guy? He's a fucking loony, you know? He says this, he says that, he says the other thing. He can't be right because he's stupid. Well, let me tell you something about ad hominems. That guy, what's his name that started talking about the reptiles, the outer space reptile guy? Anybody, put it in the chat if you can think of it. The English dude, I believe. He used to come up with some good facts. He always called it Rothschild Zionism, right? Yeah, 666, baby. Woo! On Halloween too, baby. on Halloween. David Icke. Thank you very much, Mile High, David Icke. And Brian, thank you. Let me just, before I get into David Icke, let me take my hats off to my dad. My dad died many years ago, 1977, when he was 46 years old. I'm 46 years old now, and today is my dad's birthday. My dad was born on Halloween. Woo! How about that shit? How you like me now? Alright, so David Icke now, he had some legitimate arguments. He had some good things he used to talk about and some factual things he talked about. But what happened was he started talking about reptiles and all this shit. And then all of a sudden, everybody smeared the rest of everything he said in their minds. He talked about aliens and reptiles. Therefore, we wash away the whole man. Let's forget all about the man, right? You can't do that. That's called throwing out the baby with the bathwater. You got to take each argument on its own merits. You can't just say, all right, well, David Icke is fucking crazy because he talks about aliens, right? Maybe David Icke is crazy, but you look into each of his claims, and if he's saying things about Rothschild, the Rothschild family that are valuable or correct, then he's correct in that one thing. It doesn't matter anything else he's said or done. That one argument on its own merits will stand alone. It's like, let me think of another example. Let's say you're a cigarette smoker, and my dad died of lung cancer. He died of lung cancer. He smoked mad cigarettes. Thanks, guys. Thanks for the happy birthday. Let's say I'm a cigarette smoker and I'm sitting here chain smoking, blowing smoke in the air, and telling you guys about how bad smoking is. Fucking total hypocrite, right? I can't take my own advice, but does that mean that my advice is wrong? Not necessarily. I could be fucking beating my wife in the face right now and telling you about you should never fucking beat your old lady. Would my being a hypocrite, would that make me incorrect? No, it's still correct. Don't beat your old lady. Same with the guy smoking cigarettes, blowing smoke in your face, telling you about how bad it is. A hypocrite can still be right about what he is hypocritical. A crazy man can be correct about certain things. So take each issue on its own merit and don't taint the issue with the man. Because a guy could be fucking plum loco, as they say. He could be crazier than a can of beans, but he can also utter truths. So when you take a man and you flush him down the toilet just because he's said some things that you think are crazy, I think that's a mistake. How's the stream? Is okay, I'm good. It says good stream health. Yeah, now David Icke might be a gatekeeper. He might be this, he might be that. It's our duty to be vigilant and to check each thing out. Now, if you've been down this rabbit hole for 10 years like I have, you've got many things figured out. There's many, many other things, way more things that you haven't figured out. But you can start to spot the truths and the falsehoods immediately. So let's say David Icke is a gatekeeper or controlled opposition or something like that. Then the reason he threw that aliens reptile shit out there is to discredit everything that he said before that was valid. So a guy who's trying to get you to believe in untruth will give you all truth, all truth, all truth, and then he'll weave a little lie in between the truths. A guy who's trying to discredit all the truths he said before will say something patently fucking crazy and off the wall, so when people hear it, they'll say, David Icke is full of shit. But if you listen to some of his older shit, he was right about a lot of things. And it doesn't matter what people say about the man. You take each issue on its own merits. Alright, now let's see what the next fallacy is. A straw man argument. Alright, a straw man argument. What's a straw man made of? It's straw. That means he can easily come apart, right? You can hit it with something and it falls right apart. what people will do is they'll take something that you've said, change it up, and represent it as if it was your argument. So I could say, listen, I'm calling out Jewish people who are at the upper echelons of finance and government and who are trying to manipulate governments and entire people, right? And then someone can take that and say, Shmeal says that all Jews are evil, or that if you're Jewish at all, then you're evil. But that's not what I said. They built a straw man out of my argument. They take what you've said, twist it, and then attack the straw man instead of the iron argument. So I present an argument, they take it and quote me out of context, and then attack the false made-up straw man argument. All right? So, what could be an example of another straw man? I say that different Jews believe different things and that they don't all agree. And then they take that and twist it to something I didn't really say slightly. A lot of people are good at straw men, and they try to make it something you didn't say, and then they attack the thing they created again instead of the argument. And what you'll see about logical fallacies is they always fail to address the argument at hand. Instead, they attack something else, whether it's you or whether it's anything to avoid talking about what was made or what argument was made. You'll see that a lot if you watch a lot of debates like I used to, but they're a waste of time now to me. All right, appeal to ignorance. Now let me see what exactly they mean by appeal to ignorance. I take it that they mean that they mean that you don't know, that people don't know, so it's unknowable. Maybe it's something like that. It says anytime ignorance is used as a major premise in support of an argument, it's liable to be a fallacious appeal to ignorance. Naturally, we're all ignorant of many things, but it is cheap and manipulative to allow this unfortunate aspect of the human condition to do most of our heavy lifting in an argument. It says, ignorance isn't proof of anything except that one doesn't know something. There are people that, no problem if it's you. They think that ignorant means rude, because that's the common vernacular. People say, you're fucking ignorant, man. Stop being ignorant. What they mean is stop being rude. But ignorance is a lack of knowledge. When you are ignorant of something, that means there's something you don't know. And we are all completely ignorant on way more things than we are knowledgeable. So it says, interestingly, this fallacy is often used to bolster multiple contradictory conclusions at once. Consider the following two claims. Quote, no one has ever been able to prove definitively that extraterrestrials exist, so they must not be real. Can anybody spot where that went wrong? So there's an old thing says ignorance of absence is not evidence of absence. Absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. So I could say, look, I've never seen any little green men, so therefore they don't exist. Well, that's not necessarily true. Just because you haven't seen something doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't exist. That's an appeal to ignorance. So it continues. No one has ever been able to prove definitively that extraterrestrials do not exist, so they must be real. All right, did you notice the slight difference there? So the first one says, no one's ever been able to prove definitively that ETs exist, so they must not be real. Incorrect. That's a logical fallacy. Just because no one's been able to prove that they exist doesn't mean that they are not real. Okay? And then the other one says, no one has been able to prove definitively that ETs do not exist, so they must be real. Okay? So what's the difference between those two? No one has ever been able to prove definitively that extraterrestrials do not exist, so therefore they're real. First one says, no one's been able to prove that they do exist, so they must be fake. You see, these are ways that people manipulate the mind. Okay? I was talking with someone in the chat not too long ago in Handsome Truth's stream. We were talking about Socrates and the fact that he either never wrote, or if he did write, we don't have on record what he wrote. Now, we are told the only way we know about him is by people that wrote about him. So we really don't know for certain if Socrates even existed. Now, Plato says Socrates existed, and he writes about what Socrates is supposed to have believed and what he is supposed to have written about, or spoken about, rather. Now, why would we get caught up on whether or not Socrates is real? That's a diversion from the arguments. Let's talk about the things that Socrates should have or could have said, instead of whether he existed or not, because it doesn't matter to me if he existed or not. It doesn't matter. Is what is attributed to him correct and true and useful, or is it not? That's the only question that matters. It's like Jesus. People say Jesus existed. We don't know. It's a matter of belief for people. Outside of the Bible, there's not historical evidence from him or of him. But does it matter? If what Jesus supposedly taught is true and meaningful and useful, then it doesn't matter if he existed. Maybe that's a bad example, because whether he existed or not is a really big deal to Christians. So perhaps a bad example. But let's go back to Socrates. If Socrates said that X, Y, and Z is useful, and X, Y, and Z are useful, does it matter if he existed or not? Maybe Plato's making it up. Maybe it's not even Plato that wrote this shit. Maybe we don't know who the fuck wrote it. But if it's true, it's true, and it doesn't matter who wrote it, whether he was a liar or a criminal or a hypocrite or didn't exist at all. It doesn't matter, because you take each issue on its own merits and you cut through all the bullshit. You cut through the ad hominems, you cut through the straw man arguments, and you go down to original evidence as best you can, and then you make a determination as best you can. See what I'm saying? Alrighty. Oh, here's one about Illuminati. Let me go over, check this out. We're still on the ignorance. What is it called? This is appeal to ignorance. Okay. Example 1. We have no evidence that the Illuminati ever existed. They must have been so clever that they destroyed all the evidence. Now that's not really true, but let's say it was. We have no evidence that the Illuminati ever existed. So that means they must have been so clever that they destroyed all the evidence of their existence. How do we know that? That's a fallacy right there. You can tell that's bullshit because you can't prove the second one. As a syllogism, it just doesn't follow. Now let's take a quick quick look at what a syllogism is. I'm gonna like any word with the word jism in it. Because I'm from the 80s and that was a huge word back then. Now, let's see what we got here. See if I can make it fit here. That's good enough. An instance of a form of reasoning in which a conclusion is drawn, whether validly or not, from two given or assumed propositions or premises, each of which shares a term with the conclusion and shares a common middle term not present in the conclusion. I know that's a lot, but the example, look at the example of a syllogism. All dogs are animals. Okay? Let's see here. If I can get my highlight on. All dogs are animals. All animals have 4 legs. You see how animals is in the premise? The premise is the first part, right? Here's your premise. The premise says all dogs are animals. And we take each premise on its own merit. We know dogs are animals, right? Then it says, it makes a claim about animals, and it says all animals have 4 legs. Do we know that? Now this is the second term. And what's it say in the definition? It says it shares a common or middle term present in the conclusion. It says two given or assumed propositions. So, do all animals have 4 legs? I don't know. Therefore, all dogs have 4 legs. Alright, so we could say that all animals don't have 4 legs. And so that the conclusion doesn't follow from the premise. Alright, so that's an idea of a syllogism, right? So then we look back at what's going on here. We have no evidence that the Illuminati ever existed. They must have been so clever they destroyed the evidence. Alright, so that the first example could be true. Maybe we don't have any evidence that the Illuminati ever existed. Maybe that's true. Let's assume, for sake of argument, that that's true. Can we then say they must have been so clever they destroyed all the evidence? Where's our evidence of that? So, no, it doesn't follow. We can't assume the second thing. Example 2. I know nothing about Tank Johnson except that he has a criminal record as long as your leg, but I'll bet he's just really misunderstood. Well, how can you tell that? You can't tell that. You're not proving anything. We know he's got a criminal record as long as your leg, for example, or maybe as long as something else. But he's really just misunderstood. That doesn't follow. All right, so that's a partial syllogism. It doesn't follow. It is a fallacy. Let's see what this is real quick.
Welcome back to Fallacy February with 90-second philosophy incarnate.
Hold on, I wasn't expecting that. Hold on. All right, I got to prepare myself for that. All right, ready? Here we go.
Real evidence that ghosts do not exist. Therefore, ghosts do exist.
My bad. Whoa, what the fuck?
Welcome back to Fallacy February with 90-second philosophy incarnate.org. Today we're going to be continuing with fallacies of weak induction, looking at the appeal to ignorance fallacy. Now, the appeal to ignorance fallacy is also known as argumentum ad ignorantium. This is going to be when you claim that simply because something has not yet been proven that it's not the case, or when you claim that simply because something has not yet been disproven that in fact is the case. Basically.
All right, that's it in a nutshell. We don't need to hear anything else from this guy. That is it right there. All right, so see, remember those examples we had before. No one's ever proved that extraterrestrials exist, so therefore they can't be real. No one has ever disproved that extraterrestrials exist, so they must be real. So you go back. I know it sounds a little confusing. And you see that claiming that simply because something hasn't been proven that it is indeed false or non-existent. Or claiming that something has not yet been disproven, so that means it does exist. Absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. All right. Clear, share, continue. Huh? Sorry. Let me check the chat here. Guys, I'm old and I'm fucking tired, so hang in there with me. Alright, I think I beat that one enough. At least David Icke can name the Jew. Yes, he did. Jews want to know, is the Messiah coming and will he bring more hand sanitizer? Alright. What's our next fallacy here? We're going to run through these a little quicker now. False dilemma. What is a false dilemma? It's a fake problem. Alright, let's go right to the examples. A false dilemma is a false dichotomy. Truth was talking about that earlier. He says, our favorite nemesis likes to say it's either one or it's two. And so you feel like you got to choose one or two. But really it's three a lot of the time. Really the truth is neither. Really sometimes the truth is something completely different or in between. So people see Republican and Democrat and they think that, well, one of them's got to be the right one. Well, I don't like this one, therefore this one is the good one. Well, they could both be controlled. And that's exactly what they are. So that's a false dichotomy or a false dilemma. The example they give here, either Led Zeppelin is the greatest band of all time or they are the worst band of all time. Well, can't they be some variation in between? I could personally tell you that they are the greatest fucking band of all time, bar none. Kiss my ass. Led Zeppelin is the shit. And I went to 10 Dead shows, so I got to give them some love too. Led Zeppelin. Isn't that a false dilemma? Either they're the best or they fucking suck. Well, there's in between. There are gradations of things there. Let's see the other one. There are only two kinds of people in the world. People who love Led Zeppelin and people who hate music. I would say that's fine just as it is. I love that right there. People who love Led Zeppelin or fucking blind retards that need to be clubbed over the head like a fucking baby seal. Okay, maybe that's a little strong. But you get what I'm saying, right? Alright, I hope you guys got that. Anybody not get that? Anybody need a little more explaining on the false dilemma, false dichotomy? Give me two. Give me a 2 if you want to go to the next one. Let's get it on. Alright, I'm just going to imagine a whole bunch of 2s going down the line. We're going to move on. Slippery slope argument. These are, look, I know this shit's kind of boring. I know it's dry. But guess what? These things are great to know to be able to spot when you're in an argument with somebody. Alright? What's a slippery slope? Slippery slope fallacy. You may have used this fallacy on your parents as a teenager, but you have to let me go to the party. If I don't go to the party, I'll be a loser with my friends. Next thing you know, I'll end up being alone and jobless, living in your basement when I'm 30. So, you start with something that's true premise, and then you end up making shit up. So let's see their examples. The slippery slope fallacy, however, suggests that unlikely or ridiculous outcomes are likely when there's just not enough evidence to think so. Guys, I've got the perfect slippery slope argument that you guys have all heard. Well, if we start questioning the Holocaust and how many people died, or if we start talking about the things that certain groups of people have done over the years, the next thing you know, they're going to be marching them into ovens, and then it's just going to be a Holocaust. Does the latter run from the former? How do you get from asking legitimate questions to a Holocaust? It's a slippery slope fallacy, and don't let them use it on you. Don't let anybody use that kind of argument on you. Oh, if we start questioning 9/11, then the next thing you know, we're going to start believing in reptilian aliens. Doesn't follow. It's a logical fallacy. All right? Let's move on to the next one. Guys, yeah, if you haven't subbed, do me a favor. They're beating me down here on YouTube, and I'm going to show you what they've done to me here on YouTube. Wait till you see this. 666 subscribers. I love it. Alright, look. I have a video that on my On my Creator Studio, it says I have 50 thumbs up and now 2 thumbs down because one of the flat earthers hit me off. But that's okay, because douchebags are going to be douchebags. And besides, any thumb up or thumb down helps my video. So I don't give a fuck. They can kiss my dick right on the head, right on the tip. Now, I'm going to show you this. I want to take you inside the world of the Shmeal. Let's do, see if I can find it here. I'm going to bring this over. There you go. There it is. Alright, what's that say right there? Main interview discussion with Damon, with the purple in there. What does that say? This right here. What does that say? That says 50 thumbs up and 2 thumbs down. 50 thumbs up and 2 thumbs down. Now let's go to the video itself and see what it says. Let's go, shall we? 50 thumbs up and 2 thumbs down. Right? Now look at this. Wait till you see this. That doesn't make sense, right? Like, if this isn't you, you shut the fuck up. What's it say? It says 20 thumbs up and 2 thumbs down. Not 50, like it does on my Creator Studio. Is that fucked up? You telling me these people aren't throttling me? Do you see this shit, what we got to deal with? That's why if we ever want to get ourselves known, you got to make sure to sub to people, and I'm grateful. Thank you for subbing to me, anybody who has. We got to share videos. Handsome Truth, Sway, Chris Weiner. Everybody's got to share together because YouTube is not going to do it with their algorithms anymore. And as a matter of fact, they're going to knock you down, and they're going to fucking shadow ban you, and they're going to throttle your shit like an old fucking used Oldsmobile. They're going to throttle you. Look at this shit. Look at this. 20 thumbs up and 2 thumbs down. And just to show you that it is the same video, look how confused I look. What? 50 thumbs up. Alright, just to show you this is the same video. Where is it? Main discussion with Damon V. Right? I'll go back for you and show you. What's that say? Main discussion with Damon V. Right? Alright, I'll go back to where it shows the numbers. Look at that. Main interview discussion with Damon V. 50 thumbs up and 2 thumbs down. 50 thumbs up and 2 fucking thumbs down, these motherfuckers. Alright, so that's why it's important for us to support each other as much as we possibly can. I think it's so fucking rad that I have 666 subscribers. I'm going to screenshot that. I got to screenshot that. Oh yeah, baby. 666. I'm not scared of a fucking number. I'm not superstitious. Even though my dad was born on Halloween and he died when he was 46 and I'm now 46. I still don't, I'm not superstitious like that. So, let's get back to this logical fallacy stuff right quick. And, see what we got here. Alright. So, after slippery slope, what do we have? Circular argument. This is an argument that takes you one way and it brings you, wraps you all the way around the corner and back to the same thing. It's a circular argument. Let's take a look. Get an example of a circular argument. Alright. Star Trek logical thinking. Hell yeah. We all need to be Spock. When these people come at you with these logical fallacies, you'll be armed and ready. When a person's argument is just repeating what they already assumed beforehand, it's not arriving at a new conclusion. Alright, so here's the argument. The Bible is true because the Bible says it's true. That's circular reasoning, where the one doesn't prove the other. Alright, there's the example here. The Bible's true because the Bible says it's true. That's a circular argument. One is assuming that the Bible only speaks truth, and so they trust it to truthfully report that it says truth. So that's like saying handsome truth only tells truth. Well, how do you know handsome truth's not a liar? Because he tells me. So that's a circular argument where you come back. Oh, Two-Wheel Shmeal says he never tells a lie and he's never wrong. Well, how do you know? Well, because he said so. Doesn't follow. Simple argument to find. And now look at this. We've already got 6 logical fallacies under our belt, and we're able to better spot these things in arguments. I think they're very important. And a good guy to subscribe to is Jan Irvin. Logos Media. Used to be Gnostic Media. So let's see what we got now. Hasty generalization. And I think we've covered most of the ones you're normally going to see. Hasty generalizations are general statements without sufficient evidence to support them. They are general claims too hastily made, hence, they commit some sort of illicit assumption, stereotyping, unwarranted conclusion, overstatement, or exaggeration. Alright, here's an example. Normally we generalize without any problem. We make general statements all the time. I like going to the park. Democrats disagree with Republicans. It's faster to drive to work than to walk. Everyone mourned the loss of Harambe, the gorilla. Alright. I don't know why they had to throw Harambe in there, but they thought it was necessary. Let's get an example. Let's go down to here. Some people vote without seriously weighing the merits of the candidate. Well, that is true. So which one is a hasty generalization? Some people nowadays only vote with their emotions instead of their brains. What would you say is the fallacy argument here? Anybody want to guess? What do you think? It's 1 or 2? Have a shot at it, guys. Which one is the hasty generalization? Is it some people vote without seriously weighing the merits of the candidate, or people nowadays only vote with their emotions instead of their brains? What do you guys think? Damn, that Batman shit was the shit back in the day. That shit was high tech back in the day. Look at those spandex. What do you guys think? Is it 1 or 2? Are you guys even fucking paying attention? Thank you, Mile High. Don't make me come in that chat and yoke you up. Come on. I got my 2 veterans all voting. Yes. Yes, number 2 is the fallacy. Well, am I with the losers here? Yes, he says. Alright, well, you can go lose somewhere else because you can suck my fucking dick. Bye-bye. Okay, how about that? You want to be with the losers? How about you suck my fucking dick, faggot? Okay, now that we're done with that, let's go to the next fucking logical fallacy. The next logical fallacy is a red herring. Yeah, I saw you, Shane Ray. I saw you. You're the man. You guys are my straight up dependables. And maybe it is a little too late in the morning to be going with fucking logical fallacies, but I wanted to cover them, and it's my stream, so that's what the fuck I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Alright, what's a red herring? Any guesses? Don't Google it, because I'll know if you did it in too late. Any guesses? Not a coffee enema. Any guesses what a red herring might be? Y'all thought I was playing. You know what I mean? I ain't playing. That's the first guy I ever banned. I never even so much as timed anybody out ever. But you want to talk about you're over here with the losers? Well, I'm not going to tolerate it. Not tonight, it's too late. Yeah, it's a lie. It's a certain kind of lie, spiritual vapor. Alright, so what a red herring is when they throw something in there that takes you off the scent. And what the name comes from, this is actually kind of interesting. Back in the day, in England, they used to go fox hunting. So they would take their dogs, and the dogs smell out the fox, and then they blast them. Well, to train the dogs, what they would do is they take something with the scent of a fox on it and drag it all across the ground beforehand. The dog doesn't see any of this. It doesn't know anything. And he's tracking the smell. So let's say I take some clothing and I rub it all against a fox. Or take a dead fox, tie it to a horse and drag it through the woods, all here and there, up and down over here, spin it in circles. And then you take a big old stinky fish, and it used to be a red herring, and you drag it across the scent line. So if the scent line goes this way, you drag the herring this way, and it takes him off the trail. So this is something somebody throws into the argument to try to get people going in a different direction instead of going to what the argument really is. Now let's see what the examples are. Red herrings can be difficult to identify because it's not always clear how different topics relate. So the phrase red herring refers to a kippered herring, which was reddish-brown in color and quite pungent. According to legend, this aroma was so strong and delectable to dogs that it served as a good training device, what did I tell you, for testing how well a hunting dog could track a scent without getting distracted. Right, dogs don't usually hunt fish, so the red herring is the distraction. Alright, now here's the example. My wife wants to talk about cleaning. Alright, which one is it, guys? Which one is the red herring here? Which one is trying to take you off the scent of the argument? You guys ready? My wife wants to talk about cleaning out the garage, so I asked her what she wants to do with our patio furniture. Now she's shopping for new patio furniture and not bothering me about the garage. Example 2. My wife wants to talk about cleaning out the garage, so I ask her what she wants to do with the patio furniture. It's just sitting in the garage, taking up space. It's a little nuanced here. But we're dealing with nuanced people who like to take us off the trail, off the scent. Any guesses? Is it number 1 or number 2? Which is the red herring? That was a good one, late for supper. Learn about logical fallacies. Don't get caught with a phallus flopping around in your mouth. That's right. That's good advice. Logical fallacies. Any ideas, guys? Any guesses? Number 1. We got 2. Ray says 2. We have some 1s going. I'll wait just in case there's a couple more. We got 24 people in there, so maybe somebody more than 5 will vote. Alright, so I will say this. That this first one and the second one are pretty similar in this first sentence, right? Matter of fact, it's verbatim. Same thing, right? My wife wants to talk about cleaning out the garage, so I asked her what she wants to do with our patio furniture. I don't know. Is that really a sentence? Is that really a question mark at the end? Alright. Now it says right here, my wife wants to talk about cleaning out the garage, so I asked her what she wants to do with the patio furniture. It's exactly the same as example 1. So the difference can't be there. Now she's shopping for new patio furniture and not bothering me about the garage. And this one says about the furniture, it's just sitting in the garage and taking up space. Well, example 2 is still talking about the garage, so you haven't taken off the scent. He's legitimately talking about the garage, so it has to be number 1 because he's taking her off the scent. Now she's shopping for new patio furniture and not bothering me about the garage. In this case, the patio furniture wasn't necessarily in the garage. Alright, so you get it. Alright, that's it for that. And I believe that's enough logical fallacies because I'm fucking getting bored of them now too. Alright. Let me see, I'm going to check. Thanks for subscribing, guys. Roots and Rizzos. David Doyle, Roots and Rizos. David Doyle, Algiz Rune, or Algiz Rune, the Scrap Merchant's daughter. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Please share my videos. I'm going to just keep making content. I'm dedicated to doing this shit. And I'm fucking sick of being put on limited state. I'm sick of fucking getting my thumbs up just disappearing. What is that? I'm missing 30 thumbs up on that video. That's fucked up. That would help get my shit going even more. What kind of guitar is that? That's the kind I borrowed from my friend. Let's see here. Where are you? There we go. You guys know that one? Anybody? How does that part go again? Something like that. It's been a long time. I always drop my pick in the sound hole because then I can't lose it, ever. That's a little original shit. Some old, that was, if Marge Talica, where's Marge Talica when you need her? This guitar is hard as hell to play. Yeah, that's enough of that. Thank you. I appreciate it. Name the Jew lyrics. You guys want to hear an old song I made up dedicated to my ex-girlfriend who smoked too many cigarettes, I had to fucking dump her. Alright? Let's see. How does it go? but you're killing me, 'cause I can't breathe. I can see that it's time to go, 'cause you're in love with a Marlboro. So I've got to leave you today. I'll pack up my lungs and go on my way. I guess you aren't worth it anyway. You're enough to turn a man gay. Hey. Smoking makes you smell like shit, but when you smoke, that's what you get. Kissing you, I'd have to say, it's like jamming my tongue in an ashtray. So I've got to leave you today. I'll pluck up my lungs and go on my way. I guess you weren't worth it anyway. You're enough to make handsome truth gay. Hey. Smoking when you can. Smoking is your only friend. Smoking with your friends home. Smoking when you're all alone. Smoking at the beach. Smoking's why you've got brown teeth. Smoking is lots of fun, but it's quicker if you use a gun. You will always smoke because you're an inconsiderate, ungrateful little douchebag and you only think about yourself. So go ahead and smoke, 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 smoke. Thank you very much. So don't smoke, kids. Not a good idea. I had to break it up a little. You know, logical fallacies are kind of fucking dry. Alright, they're really fucking dry. But they are important. I want to show you I got personality too. I'm not just fucking. And fallacy number 4 is there's a person here. You understand what I'm saying? Alright. Truth, are you still in the chat, handsome? I gotta show you something. Are you still in the chat? My frizz end. Let me see here. Let me know if you're there, handsome. Thanks, Zappa. It's just a funny song. I can't sing worth a shit, though. That's the problem. It's a fun song. It's not
beating me up,
to be serious.
Lying to me.
Shut the fuck up while I'm talking, Shmeal. Thank you, brother. Gievegraf. Handsome Truth, are you still there, brother? I wanted to show you something. I know it's getting past your bedtime, but I don't want to hear it. It's 3:15 out here. It's only past midnight there. No, I guess he's not there. I wanted to show him something. Oh, he's in there somewhere. Maybe he stepped off for a minute. So, alright. Oh shit. Oh shit, look at this. Look at this. It says thank you for smoking. Look at that shit. What the fuck? That's kind of coincidental. Anyway. Alright, let's do this. I want to go over, I got a few thoughts of my own on the protocols. Alright, so you guys, let's gather it together, alright? One last call for mental strength. You guys want to go over this real quick, what we were talking about with the protocols? Let me know. If you don't think you can do it, I'll call it a night and we'll have to end the party. I have to guess, most of you guys are probably West Coast, right? Thanks, Zappa, you're too kind. I eat nicotine lozenges like a fiend now. I'm not going to let my good shape go away now that I'm over 30. Late for supper, quitting smoking would be the best thing you could ever do for yourself. Eat thousands of lozenges if you have to. Don't fucking smoke. Like I said, my dad died of lung cancer, so I smoked weed like a chimney, so I guess I'm a bit of a hypocrite. But who's perfect? Nobody. Right? I don't smoke much anymore. Besides, I'm 46 now, and that fucking chronic is up at like 27, 25% THC, and that shit blows the doors off of this old Oldsmobile. That was personal info. It's all personal info. I got nothing to hide. Because I'm a straight white male. Who likes the shirt? Anybody like the shirt? Who likes the shirt? What do we got here? 24. If you guys like the shirt, here's another false dilemma. We just learned about them. If you like the shirt, hit 1. If the shirt fucking sucks, hit 2. If you think the truth is in between, hit 3. See, that was the false dilemma. It either sucks or it's great. False dilemma. Colonel Gaddafi says, the existence of our endocannabinoid system is fascinating. And it is. It truly is. Thank you, Yevagraf. Thank you. You know where I got it? I wanted to support one of the YouTubers I like. And it was Atheism is Unstoppable. Circle of Fifth says no homo. Absolutely no homo. Maybe a little reach around, but no homo. Don't worry. I don't think you're a homo. Just a little fruity, that's all. OJM number 6 says he likes the shirt. Alright, now, you guys want to do a little protocols? Does anyone like the pee-pee? Come on, man. Don't be going there. That's a no-no. Alright, OJM is off on his own tangent. Alright, so here we are with the protocols. What were we talking about? He read the protocols, but we really didn't go off on them in depth. So let's get to protocol 1. Do you guys know anything about the origin of the protocols? Should we do the origin of the protocols, or should we do... I need you guys here. 1, we talk about where the protocols came from and how they got to us. Number 2, we talk about protocol 1 in depth, which is very important. Weed is legal now. I'm outed. I hear you, brother. Talk about where they came from? Okay. Looks like it's going that way. So basically, it was some chick who had some Jewish guy, a high... This is what's said. We don't know. Again, it's like Socrates. Does it matter if Socrates lived, or does it matter what is attributed to him? And if it's true or not. Does it matter if the protocols were created and they aren't really written by Jewish people? If they're true, does it really matter? No. Does it really matter if this chick had a high prominent Jew stay over her house and she stole these papers from him and that's how we got it? Does it matter if that's how we got it? No. What matters is what the protocols say and how important they are. Ya mean? You know what I'm saying, Matthew Parry? Guys, if you're not subbed, hook it up and hit the bell. Hit the bell like a speed bag. Hit the bell like you're flicking your girlfriend's bean, if you know what I'm saying. Just fucking hit the bell. Alright, subscribe, because every time I come on, then you'll get, some kind of information. I try to put up notice about an hour before I go on. Sometimes it's just spur of the moment. And that's the way it goes. All right, so let's take a look. Where do protocols come from? The author of this translation of the world-famous protocols, himself a victim of the revolution. He was a victim of the revolution. What revolution are we talking about? Bolshevik revolution in Russia. All right. He had lived for many years in Russia and was married to a Russian lady. Among his other activities in Russia, he had been for a number of years a Russian correspondent of the Morning Post, a position which he occupied when the revolution broke out, and his vivid descriptions of events in Russia will still be in the recollection of many of the readers of that journal. Naturally, he was singled out for the anger of the Soviet. So, supposedly, this guy who wrote this translation of the protocols didn't say that he wrote the protocols. He said this translation of the protocols. There's a problem right there. If the original protocols are in Russian, how do we English speakers know that this translation is correct and that he's putting it down just as he found it, and this is exactly how he found it? So now we not only not know who really wrote them, we don't know how they were really acquired, we don't know if the translation is correct, and it doesn't matter, because if the protocols themselves are correct and they teach you something, they're valuable and informational, that's what matters. This is why I went over the logical fallacies first, because it's important. It gives you a guide to how to filter out bullshit. It gives you a bullshit detector. All right? It's like the Bible. The Bible, a lot of people think it's just the Word of God and it's just inspired. I have nothing against Christians, and I think actually Christians are an important ally in the foe that we both share. And so I don't mean any disrespect to any Christians or anything like that. I used to be like a hardcore atheist and made fun of Christians because I was a born-again Christian. And when I came out of Christianity, I felt mad. I felt duped. I felt lied to, and I attacked Christians and Christianity. I don't do that anymore because I understand that Christianity was the glue that held white Europeans together, and that rug has been pulled out from underneath of us, and now we have no balance. We're not together. And if it takes Christianity to bring us back together again, if it takes having a common enemy, then that's what I'm for. I have no problems with it. But it's important to learn how the Bible was written. First of all, I will tell you that yes, I read the Bible. And how can I prove that? All right, you ready? Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth, 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Kings, 1st and 2nd Chronicle, Ezra, Nehemiah, Esther, Job, Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Lamentations, Ezekiel, Daniel, Hosea, Joel, Jonah, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi. Those are the books of the Old Testament. As far as I can remember them, I might be off a little bit around Amos and Obadiah. But I was in 2nd grade when I memorized that. I've got a pretty good memory. And what I'm talking about is this. How was the Bible put together? And this is important to what we're talking about. There was a scroll found here and a scroll found there at different periods of time. So over the course of about 1,500 years or so, maybe more, maybe less, people would find scriptural scrolls. Sometimes they were in Egypt. Sometimes they were in modern-day Syria. Sometimes they were in Greece. Sometimes they were in far-off lands. We don't know where they all came from. We don't know who wrote any of the books of the Bible. None of them. Not even the ones that are named after Mark, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. We don't know who those people were. Now, Paul seems to be supported by history pretty strongly. So these things were all written because they were found in different areas of the world, and they were found at different periods of time. They were also written in different languages. So they had to be translated into a common language. We're told that the original language was Aramaic, and that it was translated from Aramaic into Hebrew, and then from Hebrew into Greek, and then from Greek into Latin, and then from Latin into English. So the Bible has been translated many times. There were all these collections of scrolls, and people decided what was going to be in that book. People gathered up all these scrolls and decided, well, we'll keep this part, we'll take that out, we'll put this in, we'll translate it this way. And over the course of years, the Bible was translated many, many times. When you translate something, errors can be made. People can insert what they want to fucking put into the Bible. They can say whatever they want to say and say, yes, this is the word of God. Now, the main problem with the Bible is that no one's fucking read it. And you know I'm fucking right. So here's how it goes. You go to church, you bring your Bible with you. Go to church, and the pastor says, turn to John 3:16. You open it up. For God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. In Jesus' name, amen. And then they say, close the book, and he tells you a little story about the passage and this and that. You don't read the Bible like you would any other book, starting at the beginning, going through page by page until you get to the end. The Bible's written in, or read in piecemeal. A little here, a little there, I'll read a little of this, and they never get the whole full concept of the Bible. Recently, I've reread the Bible. I did Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, and I stopped at Judges. I started getting bored. But I want to reread most of that again. Point is, we don't know when this stuff was written. We don't know who wrote these things. We don't know how many times they were translated and how many things were added or omitted. We don't know any of this. We don't know what was left out of the Bible. There are many what's called apocryphal books of the Bible. And what am I getting at here? What I'm getting at is you have to use your common sense and your judgment when anybody tells you something or whenever you read something. You don't take it at face value. You don't taint it by what the person was. That's ad hominem. You don't say, well, the Bible is good, so it has to be true. No, you have to read everything critically. Now, like I said, if you believe everything in the Bible, that's fine. I would say you probably haven't read it, but that's okay. I'll give you an example. Anybody here in the military? Anybody here swear on the Constitution to uphold the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic? I'll give you a minute. Has anybody here sworn that you will swear to uphold the Bible against all enemies, foreign and domestic? If you haven't, just put no. Izzy says the Bible is full of Jews, God's chosen people. Hello? Look, after I just got done telling you how unreliable the Bible is, can I still learn from it? Absolutely. Can I still pull things out that means something to me that I can learn from? Absolutely. All right, look, guys, put 1 if you've ever had to swear on the Constitution to uphold it against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and 2 if you haven't. Shanri says, I'm an Aussie. Do you guys have something similar where you have to swear on some document to uphold it? Zappa, you're absolutely correct, Zappa. Alright, so the point is, I get the feeling no one's listening. I get that strange feeling that this is just a chat room and everybody's got the volume down. And only Shanri and Mile High. Alright, okay, cool. I got some numbers coming. I must have a real bad delay. So, OJM has said yes. Okay. So, here's the key question, OJM. Did you ever read the whole Constitution? Front to back, top to bottom. Be honest. Be completely honest. I got you, Shanri. And I mean before you signed your pledge to uphold it. No. Man, that's honest. I got to give you credit. You're being honest. How can we swear to uphold something we haven't read? Nah, that's okay, guys. Have fun. I'm not worried about it, Levigrov. The point is this. We're on Front Street on a lot of things in this world. People swear on the Bible in court to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So, sometimes they swear on the Bible that they swear to uphold the Constitution. I swear on this Bible that I've never read to uphold this Constitution that I've never read either. Right? How can we... It's okay to say, I don't know, and let me check it out. Let me get back to you on that. So, we'll get back to this. It just goes to show you that how on point we got to be about reading things and understanding them and not caring so much what the source is so long as what the thing is valuable. All right, let's go to here. So this guy supposedly worked for the Morning Post in Russia, a position he occupied when the revolution broke out, and his vivid descriptions of events in Russia will still be in the recollection of many of the readers of that journal. Naturally, he was singled out for the anger of the Soviet. On the day that Captain Cromie was murdered by the Jews, Victor Marsden was arrested and thrown into the Peter Paul prison, expecting every day to have his name called out for execution. This, however, he escaped, and eventually he was allowed to return to England very much of a wreck in bodily health. All right, I'm going to show you how I deal with stuff. There was a couple things in there I don't understand and I've never heard of. So the way I deal with it is I'd rather read 1 or 2 paragraphs and understand them than to read 10 pages and not understand them. So let's look. What do we got? On the day that Captain Cromie. Who the fuck is Captain Cromie? That's the first thing I would ask. So let's go. Captain, we've got the world's fucking... Captain Cromie. We've got the world's repository of information at our fingertips, and we hardly ever use it. When you're my age, you're 46, you were born and lived in an era for a long time where you had no internet. And you either couldn't check up on facts or you had to go to the library and far out of your way to be able to. So I appreciate the internet more than people who were born with it, because people who were born with it just take it for granted. If I need to look it up, I'll look it up. No, me, I look it up now. I want to fucking know now, because I come from the generation that didn't have it. All right, so who the fuck is Captain Cromie? Francis Cromie was Captain Francis Newton Allen Crombie, CBDSO, that's military stuff. It was a distinguished British Royal Navy commander and the de facto chief of naval intelligence operations in northern Russia for the British Naval Intelligence Division. Now, you should never rely totally on Wikipedia, for sure. I know you guys know that. But it's not a bad place to start your searches for information. Then you go elsewhere to confirm or deny it. All right. Cancel. Let's see here. All right. It says here, I can't really fit it in there, guys. You're beat. Maybe I can squash it down like this. Ah, there you go. There you go. Come on, Goy. You got this, Goy. All right, we'll squeeze it in there. You understand? You guys that were fucking well endowed, you know what it's like having to squeeze it in there. Later on, you guys can tell me what it's like. And let's see here. Francis Newton Allen Cromie. So who's this fucking Cromie guy? And yes, I spend this much time on something I read that I'm not aware of, that I don't know. British Royal Navy, killed in the British Embassy in Petrograd. Look at that. In Petrograd, Russia, on 31st of August, 1918, at 36 years old. What's that tell us? It was the Bolsheviks, and we've heard so far that he was killed by Jews. We don't know that yet, but let's look around here. At the outbreak of World War I, he was commanding officer of the British Royal Navy China-Hong Kong submarine flotilla. From 1915, assumed command of the British submarine flotilla in the Baltic. Later, the First World War and Russian Revolution, he was naval attaché to the diplomatic staff of British Embassy in Petrograd, where he met his death while defending the British Embassy premises. That guy was a patriot. Say what you want. He fought to the end. Now, if you guys know anything about embassies, your embassy is in foreign territory. The British Embassy in Russia. But that's sovereign territory of the Brits right there. And you have to treat it as it is your home and defend it with your lives. You remember when we had the guy killed in, what was the name of the place? You know, Hillary Clinton and that attack on our embassy? I forgot the fucking name. Same thing happened to them. That's sovereign territory. So that's basically all we really need to know. Let's go back and check out the protocols now. So on that day when he was defending the embassy, he was murdered by Jews. Victor Marsden was arrested and thrown into the Peter Paul prison. All right, I have no idea who these people are or what that prison is. Let's see. What was it? Marsden? This is how I research. I do it methodically. Victor Marsden and the Peter Paul prison. Victor Marsden. It takes time to research properly, and that's just what I want to show you. Victor Emil Marsden was a journalist and translator known for translating what became the most read English language version of the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. Okay, now we're getting there. According to Robert Singerman, the earliest known imprint of this translation was published in 1923 posthumously. What's posthumously? That means after he died. Posthumously, as they might say in Britain. First English language publication of this text was in London in 1920. So the very first time the protocols were ever read in English was in 1920 in England. We're learning here. See, this is why I don't read things quickly. Somebody was asking me earlier about, do I speed read? Fuck no. If anything, I slow read because I want to fucking pull everything I can out of the text and put it here. If I read 5 sentences and understand them, that's better than reading 10 books and not understanding them. The first English language publication of this text was in London in 1920. However, prior to its publication, the conservative London daily newspaper Morning Post in 1920 used the text as a basis of 17 or 18 articles making anti-Semitic allegations that Jewish people controlled the engines of commerce and were conspiring to take over the world. That same year, the Post published a book entitled The Cause of World Unrest, which also purported to describe a Jewish conspiracy to achieve world domination. Marsden is generally credited with a translation of the protocols around this time. Marsden continues to be associated with most subsequent American English language imprints of the text, known by many different titles, but most briefly as the Protocols of Zion. In that regard, he is second only to Serge Nihilus. Now, I'm not going to go off. I got to cut my losses at some point. I'm not going to look up Serge right now, although I don't know who the fuck he is either. So now we can go back to our text, confident that we can understand it better. So now that one sentence, look at all that looking around I had to do for one sentence. You see what's going on here, guys? You got to be methodical. On the day that Captain Cromie, that's the guy that defended the embassy in Moscow, was murdered by Jews, Victor Marsden was arrested and thrown into the Peter Paul prison. All right, so you know where I'm going. The Peter Paul prison, wasn't that, I'm going to guess, in London? Let's take a look. And yes, I type everything out, even though the suggestion probably came up. The Peter Paul Fortress in Russia. Oh. The Peter Paul prison. Let's see. Well, let's take a look. See, we're learning. This is how you fucking research. You don't just read something and run with it and not understand it. Whoa, look at the layout. Look at that design of that layout. I see 1, 2, 3, 4. I see 6 pointed, almost like a 6-pointed star. Whoa. You guys see that? Whoa. All right, the Peter and Paul Fortress is the original citadel of St. Petersburg, Russia, founded by Peter the Great. He's the guy that westernized Russia greatly in 1703 and built to Domenico Trezzini's designs from 1706 to 1740 as a star fortress. Do you see that? Star. Was Domenico Trezzini a fucking Freemason? A Swiss-Italian architect who elaborated the Petrine Baroque style of Russian architecture. Well, it doesn't matter for our purposes here. So you got to cut your losses somewhere. You got to save your time and put it where you most reasonably need it. In the early 1920s, that's what we're concerned about. In the early 1920s, it was still used as a prison and execution ground by the Bolshevik government. Thank you, OJM. I appreciate it. Today, it has been adapted as the central and most important part of the State Museum of St. Petersburg history. The museum has gradually become virtually the sole owner of the fortress building, except the structure occupied by the St. Petersburg Mint. All right, we're getting off stuff that we really don't need to know. But now we know that this Peterspol prison was in Russia. We can go back to our text and really, truly understand that sentence. Look at that. All that time for a fucking sentence. But it's worthwhile. So on the day that Captain Cromie was murdered by Jews, Victor Marsden was arrested and thrown into the Peterspol prison, expecting every day to have his name called out for execution. This, however, he escaped, and eventually he was allowed to return to England very much of a wreck in bodily health. However, he recovered under treatment and the devoted care of his wife and friends. One of the first things he undertook, as soon as he was able, was this translation of the protocols. So, this was the guy. Let's read that first paragraph. This first paragraph up here. That's who they're talking about. This author of this translation. We are talking about Victor Marsden. Right here. He was the guy mentioned in the first paragraph about that he posted things in the Russian correspondent of the Morning Post. So he was based in Russia, started... Yeah, I hear you, OJM. I'm not good on checking the chat. I get wrapped up in what I'm doing. So this guy, they put him in jail for writing anti-Semitic stuff in the Morning Post. So he got out of prison. They let him go to England. And that's where, as soon as he got better, he started writing his translation of the Protocols of Zion. This is the guy we owe credit to, Victor Marsden. He's the man that was able to read both Russian and obviously English. All right, so let's get into it. Mr. Marsden was eminently well qualified for the work. His intimate acquaintance with Russia, Russian life, and Russian language on the one hand, and his mastery of a terse, that means short, a terse literary English style on the other, placed him in a position of advantage which few others could claim. The consequence is that we have in this version an eminently readable work, and though the subject matter is somewhat formless, Mr. Marsden's literary touch reveals the thread running through the 24 protocols. It may be said with truth that this work was carried out at the cost of Mr. Marsden's own life's blood. Now that's a man that sacrificed for the cause, right? I'm sitting up here complaining that it's almost 4 a.m. This motherfucker gave up a lot to do what he wanted to do. He told the writer of this preface that he could not stand more than an hour at a time of his work on it in the English Museum, in the British Museum, as the diabolical spirit of the matter, which he was obliged to turn into English, made him positively ill. He said that he couldn't do more than an hour at a time doing this translation because the diabolical spirit of what he was translating made him positively ill to put it into English. All right, so guys, how do I unban somebody? Let's see, participants. Don't know. So we got 24 watching, but we only have a handful of participants. So that means anybody who's actually put up a comment. So of the 24 watching, supposedly, we have 2, 4, 6, only 8 of you guys commenting. That's all right. That's fine. I love you guys. That means there might be as many as, I can't add right now, 15 actually watching and listening. So there also will be people watching it afterwards. So, you know, I'm not going to put too much more time in, but the most important thing about this stream, obviously I'm not going to cover anything that great today, but we went over logical fallacies. We're learning how to think. We're learning how to pull bullshit out of arguments and to see the argument for what it is itself. And that is so important. It's so crucial. Jan Irvin of Logos Media. I say it again. Subscribe to him. He's awesome. All right? I learned a lot from Jan, and especially logical fallacies. We all learn from each other. Nobody knows it all. Not even fucking close. And the thing is to learn how to study things, too. To learn how to research. That's important. Today, in today's age, most people have short attention spans. And they can't concentrate, especially on a difficult subject, for long periods of time. You got to train yourself to do it. You got to like what you're doing a little bit. You got to be interested in what you're doing. And that'll help you through. So let's cover just a little more of this. Mr. Marsden's connection with the Morning Post was not severed by his return to England, and he was well enough to accept the post of special correspondent of that journal in the suite of H.R.H., the Prince of Wales, on his Empire tour. And no, I don't know what H.R.H. means. And no, I'm not going to look it up right now. But I would, if I was just taking my time. From this, he returned with the prince, apparently in much better health, but within a few days of his landing, he was taken suddenly ill and died after a very brief illness. Wow. So, he wasn't severed by his return to England. What does that mean? What are they trying to tell us? He was connected to the Morning Post, and I guess he didn't lose his job or his connection with the Morning Post because he came back to England. All right? He suddenly took ill. He went with the Prince of Wales on an Empire tour, and he suddenly took ill, and he died. May this work be his crowning monument. Yes. Cheers. You know, without any jokes. To Victor Marsden. He's the reason we're reading this right now. One truth teller has to have respect for the truth tellers that have come before him. Of the protocols, may this work be his crowning monument. In it, he has performed an immense service to the English-speaking world, and there can be little doubt that it will take its place in the first rank of the English versions of the protocols of the meetings of the learned elders of Zion. Introduction. I guess that means this is the introduction we're about to read. You guys want to read the introduction? Yeah, this is the introduction. You guys want to read the introduction? Hail Marsden. Hail Marsden. Absolutely. Cheers to Mr. Marsden. That's going to be us, guys. Look, in all seriousness now, black pill. When you're 46, you start thinking about death a little more. And it's okay. Death is going to come whether you're worried about it or not. So my advice is don't worry about it. But we are all destined for the grave. What are you going to do with your time? Are you going to leave something behind for the future like Mr. Marsden did? Are we going to just waste our time with petty bullshit? Yeah, we have fun. Yeah, we do entertainment and all that. What are we going to leave behind for the people coming up behind us? When you're on your deathbed and you're dying and you're looking back in your life and you say to yourself, can I feel good about dying knowing that I did everything I could, or at least something to better this world, to do something for the future? That's something we should all ask ourselves. Alright? Don't mean to hit you with the serious shit, but it's true. We all have to die. We can go to our graves happy and contented that we made a difference. I want to shout out to Goyam Goddess, who went and spoke at a public meeting in front of county officials, and she mentioned things that nobody wanted to hear, and she was met with an attack, and they were talking over her, but she kept on and she said what she had to say. I like Goyam Goddess. Goyam Goddess has my respect because she did something that was very difficult. And those people, you know what that peer pressure is like when you're standing up there saying something that you know everybody in the room doesn't want to hear? That takes balls. And I say, Goyam Goddess can go to her grave knowing she did something. She at least did something. What about you? What are you going to do? Here's my theory on life. I used to smoke a lot of weed. I don't anymore. Just because I'm older and the shit is too strong for me now. Maybe once in a while on poker night at the boys' house. You know what I'm saying? But here's what life is. Life is a big fucking bag of weed that's fronted to you. You don't have to pay. It's on the eye. You don't have to pay me yet. But when that weed is all smoked up and all gone, then you got to pay up. That's what life is. It's fronted to you. This life is given to you. But when you're done using it, you got to pay for it. You got to give it up. You either look at it as giving the life back that you were borrowed, or you were given and that you borrowed, because you own nothing. None of your possessions can you take with you. Not your body, not your memories, not your thoughts, none of your worldly possessions, none of your fucking money can you take with you. And the only way you can be remembered, if you're worried about being remembered, which you shouldn't, you should worry about the impact that you can make on this world. So life is a big bag of weed that's fronted to you, and when it's all smoked up and gone, you gotta pay up. Don't forget that. Life is on loan to you. This is a rental. You don't own it. You have a duty to take care of yourself, to go as far as you can to give something to this world. Alright? Think about it, guys. So, after that huge black pill, it's not a black pill. This is the way it is. Let's be brave about it, and let's look at it for what it really, really is. So let's read this intro. Alright, here we go. Of the protocols themselves, little need be said in the way of introduction. The book in which they are embodied was published by Sergei Nilus in Russia in 1905. A copy of this is in the British Museum, bearing the date of its reception, August 10th, 1906. Okay, the protocols themselves. Little need be said in the way of introduction. The book in which they are embodied was published by Sergei Nilus in Russia. So that's the original, written in Russia. And they're not saying Sergei Nilus wrote them. They're saying he published them. So this is how you got to be careful, right? What's it say there? It says it was published by Sergei nihilists. We don't know who wrote them. At least not yet. In Russia, 1905. A copy of this is in the British Museum, bearing the date of its reception, August 10th, 1906. I wish we had some people in England, some GDL types or some allies like Shady Anderson. Hats off to Shady. I like Shady. He's a real ass motherfucker. If somebody could go into this museum and ask to see the original. Now, you might not be able to read it, but you can maybe at least see if this original is on file. We don't know. We're being told this. We don't know. Let's check the chat real quick. Amazing analogy. Thank you. You're very welcome. And you don't know how much of life you have either. So treat every day. I had it put to me like this. I forgot where I picked this up. But it was put to me like this. How would you live your life if you knew you only had a month to live? If you knew you were going to die in a few weeks or a month or in 6 months, what would your priorities be in that case? And if you would not worry about little shit, you know you're going to die in 6 months, you wouldn't be worried about petty shit so much, would you? You'd be doing the things that are important. Whatever your life work is, or spending time with people you love, let's look at life as if we could lose it tomorrow, and that'll prioritize you better. I don't always do it either. I'm in midlife, so they call it, but how do I know when I'm going to die? My dad died at 46. I am 46. And by the way, happy birthday, Pop. Well, it's yesterday now. My dad was born on Halloween. So that makes me the son of the devil. Alright, whatever. Happy birthday, Pops. You don't know how much you got. And you don't know what you got till it's gone. So, enough of that. Enough said. You guys get the point. You're smart kids. Of the protocols themselves, and if you're Shan, you're probably older than me too. So you know. Of the protocols themselves, little need be said in the way of introduction. The book they were embodied in was published by Sergei Nilas in Russia, 1905, and a copy is in the British Museum bearing the date of its reception, August 10th, 1906. We should get somebody in England to qualify that claim, or to corroborate that claim, I should say. All copies that were known to exist in Russia were destroyed in the Kerensky regime, and under his successors, the possession of a copy by anyone in Soviet land was a crime sufficient to ensure the owners of being shot on sight. Ooh. So Victor Marsden, we really owe it to him, because if he didn't come to England, after he had already been imprisoned in Russia, what if he came home to England and he's like, you know what? I'm done with all this bullshit. I'm not fucking doing anything. You can kiss my ass. I'm going to spend what time I have left with my family. But no, he got to work and he wrote the translation, and he's the only reason we've got this translation now. So, what's this tell you? That you could be shot on sight in Russia if you had the copy of their protocols. What does that tell you about the regime? The regime who, in the early 1900s, made it a crime for the first time anywhere in the world, as far as I know, to be anti-Semitic or to say anything bad about Jews. Became a criminal offense to own a copy of the protocols. You'd be shot on sight. No trial. No discussion. No, I'm sorry, my bad. Straight up. Pow. Bye-bye. What does that tell you about the regime that was in control of the Soviet Union? Who would be so worried about anti-Semitism being illegal? Oh, that's right. The Bolsheviks, the majority of them were Jewish. Thank you, Matthew Perry. The majority of the leadership in the Bolshevik Revolution were Jewish. And that's why there were such harsh penalties for anti-Semitism, or so-called anti-Semitism. And that's why nobody said shit in the Soviet Union, because they ruled with an iron fist. All right, let's take a look. So under the Kerensky regime, they burned all the copies, and you could be shot on sight for owning one. I'm sure there were some underground. And if it were me, I would literally put it underground, as in buried underground, because I ain't getting caught with that shit. I ain't that hero like that. But I might keep a copy somewhere. Yeah, I might do that. So the fact is, in itself, sufficient proof of the genuineness of the protocols. Okay, so whoever wrote this is saying that the fact that there were such harsh penalties means, the truth hurts, doesn't it? The truth hurts, doesn't it? That's why the truth is always squashed with such vicious ruthlessness, because the truth fucking hurts. The Jewish journals, of course, say that they are a forgery, leaving it to be understood that Professor Nihilus, who embodied them in a work of his own, had concocted them for his own purposes. Now, the first time I read that it was a forgery, I thought I was slick. I said, well, if it's a forgery, then that means you used someone else's material to write it, and therefore there had to be an original. Right? I didn't know the true definition of forgery. So if you've been to college, you know that you shouldn't be forging anybody's paper. That's forgery, if you copy someone else's work and put it down. So to be able to copy someone else's work means the work existed in the first place. And so if the protocols are a forgery, well, then there really was an original. And therefore it can't be a forgery. It sounds like a self-refuting proposition. But when you look up the word forgery, you see that there is a little more to it. The action of forging or producing a copy of a document, signature, banknote, or work of art, or a forged or copied argument, or document, signature, banknote, or work of art. What does it mean to forge? Is to create. See, number 2, create. The two men forged a close bond. So you can forge something out of thin air that doesn't necessarily have to be something originally. And if we look it up, let's look it up somewhere else, just to verify that. Forgery. That's the definition we just saw. Let's see. Any other definitions? Forgery. Find law. The point is it doesn't necessarily mean. The crime of forgery, generally refers to the making of a fake document, the modification of an existing document, or the unauthorized signing of a signature without authorization. So you see right there in the first part, blows my thought out of the water and shows that I didn't really know the true definition of forgery in the legal sense. So, don't try to use that argument. Well, if it's a forgery, that means there was an original. No, not necessarily. A forgery could be something created out of whole cloth. Kind of like the money system we have. Talk about making shit out of thin air. Don't get me started on the money system, because I'll be here till tomorrow at 4:30 in the morning. I know a lot about our money system. I know a lot about banking. I know a lot about the history of banking, and I can explain our money system to you and a lot of the things about it. I can explain to you how I thought gold was the shit and silver was the shit, and then I had all these evolutions, and now I understand what the answer is to our money problem. And it doesn't involve gold and silver. It involves government-issued fiat currency that is made and just used by the government to pay their bills with. That is the answer. I can't explain it right now. But suffice it to say, the gold bugs will tell you that fiat money is bad. Fiat money is evil. Fiat money, no, doesn't mean that. Fiat means by decree. So the government says what the money's worth, and that's what the fucking money is worth. And then no banker or anybody else can fucking get in between. The government says this is legal tender, and that's what it is. All our coinage right now is government issued, debt-free fiat money. Abraham Lincoln found the secret, and he took a bullet to the fucking head. Government issued fiat money that is debt-free. That's what it was. Alright? I know you guys might have some disagreements with that. That's okay. I've got 10 years into looking into this. That's okay. We'll save that argument for another day. And I don't blame you guys for disagreeing with me. You should always question everything. So that's good. Let's get back to what this is here. The claim of the Jews that the protocols are forgeries is in itself an admission of their genuineness, for they never attempt to answer the facts corresponding to the threats which the protocols contain, and indeed the correspondence between prophecy and fulfillment is too glaring to be set aside or obscured. This the Jews know well, or well know, and therefore evade. So we see a fallacy, a logical fallacy right off the bat. These people, the detractors, whether they be Jews or not, who say the protocols are not real, they don't argue about what the protocols say. They just say it's fake. It's a forgery. I don't care. If it was a fake or a forgery, they're still true. Look at the results in this world. Look at the way the protocols are being fulfilled one by one in our modern day. Does it matter if Socrates ever lived? No, because if what he is supposed to have said is true, then it matters not if Socrates lived. If these protocols were written in crayon by a 4-year-old last week, it doesn't matter, because the protocols are accurate, they are true, and they are an accurate representation of what we see in this world. So whenever they say they're a forgery, don't go off your game. Say, but are they true? Let's talk about what they say rather than where they came from. That's a red herring. They're trying to get you off the trail. They're trying to get you arguing on whether they're real or not. Say, I don't give a fuck if they're real or not. That's like when I give facts about black behavior and the fact that black men between the ages of 13 and 40 are responsible for over half the murders in this country every year. And they say, you're a racist, you're a Nazi. I don't give a fuck what you call me. Let's talk about the facts. They will avoid the facts like the fucking plague. You know what I'm saying? They'll avoid the facts like the fucking plague. And they'll try to get you arguing and defending on whether you're a Nazi or not. Or in this case, whether you're an anti-Semite or not. I don't give a fuck what you call me. Let's talk about the facts. And if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But you're not going to just sit here and call me a racist or an anti-Semite or tell me that these things are a forgery and think I'm just going to argue about that with you. I'm not that fucking stupid. Let's talk about the facts. Stick to the fucking facts and don't ever get off the facts. And by the way, I'm not just totally anti-black. I know a lot about the black people's history, what they've been through in this country, and all kind of shit, because I'm fair. I'm harsh with the truth. I'm firm and steadfast, but I'm also fair. And I'm also amenable to reason. If someone has better arguments, I will listen. But I will not let anyone get me off the facts. I will stay on the facts till the day I fucking die. And that's a promise. Let me show you something else. To those of you who have seen this before, I apologize. But first there's Plato, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius. This is Plato's apology about Socrates. I read the whole fucking thing. Alright? So I know about what Socrates is supposed to have said. And I don't give a fuck if Socrates lived or not. The shit he supposedly talked about is awesome. That's one. About black people, I'm not just unfair. I read. I learn. The secret relationship between blacks and Jews. Right? I'm not just here to attack black people for no reason. I attack them for good reason. When they're out there killing white people and beating us and fucking raping our women and killing and murdering and robbing and stealing and beating us up in the fucking streets, you're goddamn right I'm going to speak out. And if you want to call me a racist, I don't give a fuck, because I'm worried about truth. When there's something about black people that I'll be honest about, yes, there's a fucking liquor store in every corner. Yes, the homies were right when they told me they were running drugs in their communities. I will stand up for black people when they are right, but goddamn it, I will call it out when they're wrong. And anybody else who fucking wants to argue, if I'm wrong, I will say I'm sorry, I'm wrong, and thank you for setting me straight. Secret relationship between blacks and Jews, number 2. How the Jews gain control of the black American economy. I haven't read these yet, by the way. Hopefully I'm going to do them online if they don't shut my fucking channel down. Secret relationship between blacks and Jews, number 3. Alright. The Leo Frank case, that's one. This involves the beginning of the ADL. Where did the ADL come from? Learn, read, truth, that's all that's needed. And when I tell you guys about the money system, don't just trust me, always check up on things. But I'm telling you the truth about the money. And I'll bring in that book in a later date. It's there was a guy by the name of Steven Zarlenga. I listened to him 10 years ago on the Jan Irvin Gnostic Media channel. And I was in the mode that gold is money and that fiat money is bad and all that stuff. And it took me a long time to break out of that, to realize what real money is. So I understand all you guys who think I'm full of shit or that I'm wrong. I totally get it. I don't have any hard feelings. Tony Martin, black brother, looked like Kid and Play back in the day. There he goes. 90s as hell looking, right? With the box top and shit. This shit was all fucking trim. This is about, it's a thin book. He was teaching a class about the slavery days. And he was teaching that the blacks and Jews had a lot to do with the Jewish enslavement of blacks in this country, how they were controlling the slave trade, how 75% of Jews owned blacks according to the 1830 census. If we get our facts straight, this is why I went over logical fallacies. Nobody can take you off your game if your facts are straight. Get your fucking ducks in a row. Don't let anybody take you off your game, and continue to beat the fucking point of what you want to say. Don't let anybody distract you off the fucking thing by saying you're a Zion, or you're a racist, or you're a that, and blah blah blah. Don't let them do it. Tony Martin didn't let him do it. He stayed on fucking message. And when he was teaching about the Jewish role in the slave trade in Wellesley College, that's what it means, Wellesley. Wellesley College, I think it was an all-female college. Not sure yet. Haven't read this yet either. But being it's thin, maybe I'll read that next. Then they attacked him. It was okay when he was saying white people are bad and white people did the slave trade and white people, that they had no problem. But when he went on and talked about Jews and their role in the slave trade, oh my, was there a backlash. Right? Yes, Yavagroff is on it. Created by Jews, all those organizations. Predominant role in those organizations. Auction sales. Jews selling blacks. You see, I don't want black people to think I'm just a fucking hater and I just hate for no fucking reason. I have good reason to be angry about the things I'm angry about. But I also want to understand what they've been through too. you know, because I want to be fair. Slave sales, these are all advertisements from back in the 1800s that showed about, these were all Jews who put up ads. Look at this. Abraham Lipman says $5 reward. Absconded from the subscriber. That means somebody took your shit and ran away. On Wednesday morning last, my Negro fellow Chester, well known in the vicinity of Charleston, the above reward will be paid on delivery of him to the subscriber. So it's a Jew putting in an ad in the newspaper saying, look, my slave ran away, and anybody wants to grip him up, I got $5 on it. It's disgusting. Reading all the shit that black people have been through, it's pretty fucking nauseating. So, about hearing about families being sold and just, there's one ad that said, I got a horse for sale. Oh, and a black guy too. They were being sold like animals. It's terrible what people have been through. So, I also understand too. This book's not that thick, but every single page is just filled with ad after ad by Jewish people for black people. Let me read this one. The Oppenheim brothers. By the way, the Oppenheimers is where Lord Rothschild, the original Lord Rothschild, got his start by working with the Oppenheimer family. I think in Frankfurt, Germany. All right, it says, Mr. Oppenheimer's brothers, large, enterprising, and successful grocers, advertise a most choice selection of family and plantation groceries in our columns this morning. So they were selling slaves too. Moses Cohen, Mordecai, was a ship owner, merchant, Confederate, Jewish communal leader, synagogue president, and slave dealer. He was co-founder of the newspaper Southern Standard, later Charleston Standard. He was also a bank director. Same thing over and over. Jews in the slave trade, also banksters. A lot of the prominent banks today were selling slaves then and putting up money for people to buy slaves, mortgaging slaves. And look, okay, white people were involved in the slave trade. Okay, white people ran slave ships too. White people owned slaves. At about 30% of whites owned slaves across the country. That means 70% of whites had nothing to do with it. But why can't we talk about the Jews and what they did and the fact that 75% of Jews owned slaves? Why can't we ever talk about this? That's what I want to know. Why can't we ever talk about the Jewish role in the slave trade and in the slave auctions? It fires me up. And then that book, Willie fucking Lynch's Hip Hop Nation, The Newest Slave. This talks about how Jews took over hip hop and they made black people's music from nice family shit that you could listen to in front of your family to the worst, most degrading shit that people have ever seen. And they got white people listening to that shit too and degrading them too. And I'm not fucking down with it. I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of white people that like rap, including Handsome Truth. I have a lot of respect for Handsome Truth. Don't think that because I disagree with one thing a guy does, that I throw the man out. That's what I've been preaching this whole fucking podcast, or this whole live stream, is you don't take a man and disregard him because you disagree with one thing. But I will tell you that I disagree with rap music. I think it's garbage, sounds like shit, and it degrades the people who listen to it. Now, the lyrics of that song that Sway and Handsome Truth came up with, I dug the lyrics. The lyrics were nice because I try to find the good in a person and I try to find the good in everything. But I don't have any fear in calling out what I don't like. Doesn't make me a bad person, doesn't make me a hateful person. I have disagreements with rap, and I think it's degraded people's culture. It ain't the days of Michael Jackson anymore. It ain't the days of Earth, Wind, and Fire anymore. Or my man James Brown. James Brown was the fucking shit. But I gotta call it like I see it. If I don't, I'm a fucking phony. Am I right? So I know I went way off the reservation there. And I know I went way off of what we were talking about, but it's all relevant. And it's all things I want you guys to know about. By the way, best fucking cookies you ever wanted to have. I'm not getting fucking paid. Just eating these is a reward in and of itself. Best fucking cookies you have. Oh my god. So don't mind me. We're late night. It's Halloween Eve. No, the next day after Halloween. It's late at night. I don't know how much more I got left in me, but I'm doing the best I can. Are you guys enjoying this? Peeking into the fucking crazy brain of the two eel Shmeal? Are you guys getting a feel, hopefully, for who I am? And what my morals are, what my guidelines are. Nobody's perfect, but I strive a certain direction. I try to control my anger and my rage because I've had the worst anger problems that you could imagine. Tonight, when I saw that fucking video with Don Lemon talking about white people are terrorists, when I saw that shit, I am not going to lie to you, I had visions of choking that motherfucker out till his eyeballs rolled back in his head and he stopped breathing. I really, literally wanted to kill that motherfucker. I have to control that. That's not good. And somebody called me out in the chat. They said, oh, that's very stoic of you. Because I'm the guy that talks about stoicism and trying to control your rage. Guys, I'm trying. I'm not perfect. When I hear people attacking my fucking race like that and making us look, do they know what happens as a result? When people hear white people are terrorists and they're racists and they're bad and they're no good, you know what happens to us? We get attacked physically on the streets. Then it's okay to attack white people because white people are less than human now. We are just evil incarnate. And so it's always okay to punch a Nazi, right? It's always okay. Man, let me tell you, I got so fucking mad when I heard that. But what you got to do is you reel yourself back in. And you take that rage that you have and you let it be the fuel for your fire that keeps you fucking going. That just made me want to do content for another 5 years. That was the fuel that's going to keep me going. I get tired and I don't feel like doing the stream anymore, like tonight, like right now. I take that rage and I think about it and I let it motivate me. And I let fear, let anger be the things that motivate you instead of the things that destroy you. So we got a lot of different conversations going on. I just saw, when I say I just saw, a couple months ago, I saw The Greatest Story Never Told. And it gave me pause. I don't know exactly what the deal was with Nazism or Hitler. But it made me think, hey, there is another side to the story. And generally, the truth lies somewhere in between, right? So one side says Hitler was the most evil man ever and wanted to kill all the Jews, and he tried to. This guy is pretty much just right of Satan. The other side says Hitler could do no wrong. He was the greatest patriot for his country, and everything he did was great and wonderful, and what the Nazis stood for was great and awesome. Now, I don't like to accept either extreme. So I know that the true Hitler and the true Nazi party was somewhere between those two. Was it closer to Satan or was it close to the best guy ever? I don't know. And I don't have to decide right away. I can study and learn for years without ever making a valid or a firm decision. So I'm going to withhold judgment. But I will say this. I have read things and seen things that have made me question what I thought about Hitler. Because I was more to the evil side. Now, I don't know. Not so sure anymore. And that's okay. It's confusing. For a while, you don't know what to think. But don't worry about having to make a decision right away. You don't have to pick a side right away. Just say, I'm not sure. I have my questions. There are some things he did that weren't good. There are some good things that he did that were great. And that's the way it is. I just recently, the other day, came across Hitler's 25 points. The Nazi Party's 25 points. I haven't read them all yet. So I don't really know shit about Nazism for me to really opine. But here's my feeling. My guess. I don't know if I'm right or not. I would say this. Communism is anti-individual. It's all about the group. It's all about the collective. You have no property, no private property. It's all about the state. The state owns everything and takes everything away from everyone. On this extreme, you have capitalism, which says it's all about the individual and fuck the collective. Get yours. Get what's good for you. Fuck everybody else. Fuck the country. Grab whatever you can. And if you guys can't do good, then fuck you. Kiss my ass. You're on your own. We ain't helping you worth shit. These are two extremes. I'm looking at Nazism, National Socialism. Let's say that because the word Nazi has a negative stigma to it. And I'm thinking that's somewhere in between the collective and the individual. That's somewhere that says, hey, we support private property and we support individual rights. But you got to do something for the collective too. You got to work for the government. You have to do certain things for your people, for the Reich, so to speak. So on the face of it, ostensibly, it sounds like it could be something good in between. I don't know. I'm going to learn about it some more. But I'm smart enough to know that those two extremes I laid out for you are probably not the best plan, either one of them. Pure individualism, this Ayn Rand, get what's yours, and this pure collectivism, this, Stalinist type of collective shit. I don't think either of those extremes are very good. So, if we could have something in between, it seems like that would be the best option, right? Let's take what's good from capitalism. We'll take what's good from the socialist view, and we'll blend them, and we'll call it National Socialism, right? You got the nationalists, the people who are far right because they're white and they love their country, so they're evil. And then you have the left, who are like, fuck Nazis, bro. Fuck Nazis. And let's take something in the middle, right? Because I think we do, the Christians would say, am I my brother's keeper? Well, in a sense, yes. Are we responsible for the other people in this country? I think we do have a responsibility to each other in the country. We are brothers in this country, whether we like it or not. Because if we get attacked, we're all going to be fighting side by side and back to back. White, black, rich, poor, doesn't matter, you're going to be fighting. Well, if you're really rich, you're not going to be fighting, neither are your kids. But maybe we can change that too. Maybe there is something in between that is a worthwhile thing to look at. Why can't we take the good from capitalism and the good from socialism and blend the two, and let's leave all the shit that we know is bad behind? Marge Talica, you're here. Marge Talica. Yeah, that's without a pick, so I'm sorry. It's not the best. But that's to you, Marge Talica. So look, I think I'm done for tonight. We'll go through this another time. And if you're looking for tedious, detailed explanation of everything and looking deep into things, Too Real Shmeal, I'm your guy. I'll be fair, but I'll be firm. And I can promise you that if you can make me to see that I'm wrong on something, I'll admit it and I'll change my mind. So, I know you guys are having your own personal chats here and all. That's cool. Guys, make sure you just sub to me. Sub to people who are making content. Go and sub to Goyim Goddess, because she had the balls to go speak her mind in public yesterday or before. And that's fucking awesome. And I really respect her. I would say that I love Goyim Goddess. What she did was fucking awesome. Let me see if I don't think I have any links. Yeah, let me take a look. Thank you for subbing. Don't be afraid. Hit the bell. And then you'll get updates of when I'm coming on. The world is ours. Whatever I want to do, that's what we'll look at. Maybe we can get Chris Weinert to suggest a really good book for us. But to be honest, I have a shitload of things written down that I want to do. Omega DJ 169 has some interesting videos. I like his channel. Omega DJ 169. So, Goyim Goddess.
That I don't even understand.
Okay.
At the federal and international levels.
Bitch, shut up. No, that wasn't Goyim Goddess. I wouldn't talk to her like that. Thank you, Zappa. This here's a link to the county meeting that she appeared at. And she's at the 37-minute mark. Goyim Goddess at the 37-minute mark of this video. Alright? There's the Goyim Goddess. So Marge Talica, that second link, both the links. 37, if you go to 37 minutes, that's where she is. And she spoke her mind, and that's awesome. That's just fucking great. That's cool, because it takes a lot of balls. It's easy to hide, behind a name on YouTube, but it's hard to go on public and say what you want to say. Hint, she's the one talking about Israel, and something to do with public smart meters. Let me see if I can find her channel as well. Not sure, but you guys can find her. It's Goyim Goddess. I gotta recommend this. This is Omega DJ 169. This is Myron Fagan's speech, The Red Stars over Hollywood. He talks about how there were, there you go, how there were lots of communists in Jewish-run Hollywood. Myron C. Fagan was a Jew. And so you see, you gotta take people on their own merits. Like I was saying before, you never throw the baby out with the bathwater. Some people think you gotta hate all Jews. I don't understand that. Some people think all Jews are all the same. They are not. There are many Jews who've talked about the very same things we talk about and who have been victimized by the very same Jewish people at the top who step on them too. How many Jews were killed in World War II at the expense that was paid for these high up banker Jews? Not good. Never throw the baby out with the bathwater. Myron C. Fagan is a great example. He knew the deal. Myron Fagan was a Jew. Does that automatically mean, excuse me, I'm chewing, that everything he said was no good? No. Take each issue on its own merits. If it was Satan himself saying what Myron C. Fagan said, I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. Like we were talking about with Socrates. Did he exist? Who gives a fuck? Were the protocols of forgery? Who gives a fuck? They're true. Am I a racist because I bring up facts about crime and race and I'm a race realist? Who gives a fuck? I don't give a fuck. You can call me a racist. Knock yourself out. I don't care. I'm still going to speak the truth. That's the attitude you got to have. And when you stop trying to defend yourself for racism or anti-Semitism, that's when you take the power out of those words. That's when those words lose their power. When you speak truth to power. People think that they've got a great point. People think they have a great argument when they say anti-Semite, racist. They think they're really actually saying something of value. They have said literally nothing. They should be laughed at in their faces and then hit with your argument again. Don't ever let them take you off the fucking plantation and tell you that now you got to defend yourself as a racist or you got to defend. I'm not defending shit. You call me whatever the fuck you want. I don't care. Truth is all there is. There it is, David Doyle. There were commies in the White House. Joe McCarthy was right. Myron Fagan was right. Benjamin Friedman was right. The guy who wrote Red Mafia, this book here, he was right. He's talking about Russian Jewish mafia guys. He was right. The author was Jewish. He was right. So guys, last thing I'm going to say, I know I'm saying it over and over again, like a broken record, but I got to pound this into your heads. It doesn't fucking matter what people try to say with their logical fallacies and with their attacks on you as a person and their claims that some facts. Don't just say the Jews. Look, I'm just talking about facts that happened. Here, you can look it up. Here's proof. Here's what the commander of the ship said. Here's some people who survived. 34 people killed, 171 wounded. If I'm an anti-Semite, that's still true. Doesn't matter what you call me. Guys, stick to it. Stick to your fucking guns and don't ever quit telling the truth. But that also means that you have to, when you're wrong, you have to admit it. And you can't keep persisting in a lie. Because that makes you look terrible and no one's ever going to believe you in the future. You build up this credibility. You don't just be hateful for hate's sake. Stick to your guns. Don't care what you call me. Sticks and stones can break my bones, but words will never hurt me. But the truth hurts. The truth will hurt you. So go fuck yourself. I don't care what you call me. Alright, guys. Have a good night. Peace. And I'll catch you later. Thanks for coming out. I'm really glad you guys came out tonight. Hope you had a good time. And I'll catch you on the rebound. Alright. Peace out.